Now, I've always been in the self-hosting game. My first server was an old NAS of some kind, or a backup server. And now I can finally put together this beast of a server. I'm hosting local AI models, up to 27B, Nextcloud, my own private search engine, Jellyfin Media Server for music and movies. Now, let's get into the specs. First, the RAM. I opted for 96GB of DDR3 ECC, because the DDR3 Xeon platform is still very good for servers, especially if you're on the budget side. You can get a 10-core 20-thread processor for around 20 euros, and you won't be able to get anything from the DDR4 or 5 side of things, because first of all they're expensive and the RAM pricing would just be unaffordable at this point. Now for the CPU. I opted for an Intel Xeon E5 2470 for no particular reason. I just had it lying around and that was the one with the most cores, so kind of a no-brainer. But if I ever need more CPU power, I can always upgrade to the 10-core model. Now let's get to the storage. I have 8 4TB HDDs that I harvested from an old server, so they are used, not new, so I don't know how long they will last me. However, if you're on a budget and you can easily get by with 8 1TB or even less. Just remember that if you choose to run them in a RAID, you need to be aware that you lose half of your storage, because it's writing the data twice on each HDD, so that 1 or 2 HDDs can fail, but you don't lose any data. For the GPU, I chose the Nvidia Tesla P100 16GB, simply because it's cheap and can run pretty much any model up to 25B, decently fast. I paid just 100 euros for the GPU, which is a pretty good price for a 16GB card. Olama, which is for the AI obviously, so that I can stop feeding Google or ChatGPT my data. Now, what operating system am I going to put on the server? Well, if you're self-hosting a lot of things, you're gonna have multiple virtual machines, which are essentially computers inside of a computer. And the best program that is out there for virtualization is of course Proxmox. It basically allows you to create and manage multiple VMs in one interface and in one server basically. So if you're wondering, this is what the web interface looks like. Here you have all of your virtual machines. In my case it's always Debian 13. Here you can see the specs that you gave the virtual machine. For example, this one has 1 core and 8 gigs of RAM. And if you wanna create a virtual machine, it's pretty easy. You just click on create VM right over here. Name it. For example, I'm going to name this one test. You click next a bunch of times, select your ISO image, which means basically your operating system, in my case Debian. Click next, leave everything here default. Click next. Here you can select your storage. Where do you want to install the OS on, or the virtual disk basically. You set a size, for example 200 gigs. Here you can give it core, how many cores you wanna give it. Here how much RAM. Here you can configure your network, your virtual network. And here you can see all of the stats of the virtual machine. And then you click finish, and then it's going to pop up down here. You click on it, you click on console, and then you click on start basically. Yeah, that's how this works. It's pretty cool. And you can of course also add the backup server in here, and then choose what do you want to back up, and also you can make like when you want to back it up. So if you want to back it up in the middle of the night, you can set this all in here. You can do all of these settings in here. Yeah, this is Proxmox virtual environment. It's pretty cool. And if you want to get into self-hosting, there's really not a single better operating system out there to do it on. Even though Proxmox is just built on top of Debian, so it's nothing Nothing like completely new. Underneath this is just stock Debian, which is pretty cool.